Welcome to Leveling Up with Lindsay, the podcast where we dive into leadership, small business, and everything in between. I'm Lindsay, your host and the proud owner of White Peony Boutique, a space created to empower women, build confidence, and foster meaningful connections. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a mom, a friend, or someone just looking for a little inspiration, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Join me as we share stories, strategies, and a little bit of life's chaos while navigating what it truly means to level up in starting a business, relationship, and personal growth. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's level up together. Today's episode is different. It's not about strategy. It's not about sales. It's not about market trips or events. It's about people. And if you listened to this podcast before, you've probably heard me say this. The single most important part of any business is people. Not the product, not the marketing, not even the vision. It is the people. But here's what I've realized lately. That truth doesn't apply to business. It applies to your friendship, your marriage, your family, your inner circle. Because you don't just build a company with people, you build a life with them. And growth doesn't just happen because time passes. It happens because people choose it. It happens because you lean in instead of pulling away. It happens because you stay in conversations that would be far easier to avoid. It happens because you decide the relationship matters more than your very own comfort. Over the last several years, White Peony has grown. But more importantly, we've grown. Through wins, through pressure, through mistakes, through outside life hurdles that had nothing to do with business at all. And what I'm most proud of isn't just what we've built. It's that we have chose to grow individually and together. So today I'm sitting down with the two women who didn't just work alongside me from the beginning. They leaned in, they evolved, they stretched, and we choose to do that together. So here I am with Miss Autumn and Emily.
I got teary-eyed on that.
You?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, gosh, if there's never been an episode where I'm feeling so deep.
Yeah.
I was like, today could be a tears day in a very powerful way.
Agreed.
I feel like the universe is channeling the inner strength yet again, but it's made me reflect back from day one when I've met each of you.
Yeah.
And each year, each month, each day, how we have freaking grown up so much.
100%.
And not only together, but individually. Like it literally blows my mind to think of Autumn when she first started and we were doing shipping together. And from the very beginning in my basement, having your babies and going through life hurdles and, oh my goodness, we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
No, I have tears in my eyes.
We've been through a lot. So let's take it back for a second. Just a couple quick questions to each of you, and you can each kind of answer this. So when we think back from the very beginning, when you first started at White Peony, what did you think that White Peony would be, honestly? And that's like the little question. But what I really want to ask is what version of yourself walked through that door?
Yeah.
You want to start?
No pressure. So I love asking this question. Actually, Em kind of talked about it too before this morning. And I think when I first started, I just thought it was something fun. I thought it was just selling some clothes, talking to some people, cutesy stuff. And what I didn't realize is that it grew us way more than I ever expected, stretched me more than I ever expected. But I think in that shaping, it grew me as a leader, as a woman, as a friend, as a mom through the entire process. So for me, I don't think I really even took it as a business endeavor. But now looking back, I realize it has always been so much more.
Sure. And what version of yourself do you think walked through the door in the beginning?
You always talk about the shipping.
Let's describe Autumn.
Yep. I think that I had the things in me. I just covered it up with my people pleasing, afraid to disappoint anybody, always wanting to keep harmony and just kind of lay low, feel it out first, and kind of wait to see what kind of version of me they would accept. And in that, I feel like I've evolved and learned that. But it was one of those things I had to, play. I mean, it was a boutique full of women where you're like, I'm not sure what I'm walking into. And it became something so much greater and so much more developing of myself as a human than I've ever experienced.
And that's kind of what I want to talk about here. So, of course, we come from White Peony, but I want to talk about this too as like on a personal level, even outside of. So You are up, ma'am.
For me, it started out as fun wine nights in the neighborhood. I was new to the area.
Yep.
And I had met you guys.
Yep.
So when Lindsay said, hey, come down and help me do a live
Yeah.
sale, I said, whatever that means, sure.
Yeah.
But wine was involved, so heck yeah. So for me, it was just kind of a way to meet people and like do something fun. Girls' nights. I was looking
Yep.
for that connection with people. Never did I ever foresee it becoming a long-term career
Mm-hmm.
or even something like leadership. That's just not something I ever saw coming out of this. But listening to Lindsay talk over and over about White Peony and kind of her vision and what she wanted for this, I was like, there is something more here, something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I feel like Tara always explains it like an introverted extrovert. So I'm like a very stay at home kind of, I like to keep to myself, but when I'm out and about with people, I have a really good time. It just takes a lot to get me out. I feel like I'm capable, and I always knew I was capable of things, but I'd always kind of stay back and observe.
Sure.
So like more timid, I feel like. I feel like I've kind of grown.
I actually, like, even thinking, because, you know, like, meeting you and kind of doing the little lives in our neighborhood things. I even think of myself walking into White Peony. I've talked about this in speeches and on the podcast before. Lindsay, in the beginning of White Peony White Peony was created because I think it was really, here we go.
Shoot.
I have to look away. I was almost like so sad. I was sad.
You were.
I was sad because I was lost in everybody else's to-dos. I was lost in, doing people pleasing everything. I was lost in the chaos and the noise and the corporate ladder, trying to, do everything I could, and it just didn't feel good enough. So White Peony in the very beginning was insecure. I was going to say little. I'll say younger Lindsay,
Yeah.
who was first-time mama. And I had a really freaking awesome friend. So looking back, of us 3 years ago before White Peony, think like, what were we insecure about at the time? Like individually,
Yeah.
what were we insecure about? What made you feel unsure?
Yeah.
Did you think that you would be part of White Peony at that point? Probably not. I think we can all say we didn't
No.
really know what was
What
going to
this
happen.
would be,
But I
yeah.
think paint that picture. This is going to make sense as we talk about this more. But what were you insecure about in that time of your life? And what did you feel unsure of?
Emily, it's your turn.
Okay,
To go first.
I also think I was a super people pleaser and going through phases of like, we just got married, we had moved. So trying to find relationships that would help, build me up in that time of life. Everyone was kind of in different periods of life and going through different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it was trying to find a voice and be confident and know what I wanted in life at that time because I really didn't know.
Yes. Amen.
It's funny because I feel like I get this a lot where people come up to me and they're like, have you always been this confident? I think in that, the answer is always going to be no. And I think that's the thing about growth and learning as you go is that who I am now is not who I was 5-10 years ago. And it came from trials and tribulations. And
Yes.
for me, I honestly was one of the most insecure people that I knew. And I just hid it because I didn't want people to see the real me. I didn't trust my own voice. I didn't trust my own decisions. Again, I think it comes from a deep, thing with people pleasing and keeping harmony in my life and being told I was too much when I was little or feeling like I wasn't enough for a lot of people just growing up in my friendship groups. And I have a core group of friends that I've had since middle school, but leading up to that and getting to that point, there was a lot of learning that
Yeah.
Autumn had to do just because she never felt like she belonged. And so with that, I think I had to get a little uncomfortable. I had to kind of trust myself, and slowly but surely I think I've gotten the most feedback and compliments when I show the not so pretty sides of life sometimes,
Yeah.
when you just share being honest and open, because I think it opened up the gateway to be like, I'm fine exactly who I am,
Yes.
People
and
can relate
learning.
to that,
100%. Nobody likes the Instagram perfect reels. Nobody likes the perfect life. And I think just being honest and open about I love Jesus, but man, some days I'm sad. It's
Yeah.
like there's a balance between being truly happy and finding
Yeah.
joy in life and also acknowledging when it's not.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? And I'm kind of I'm only using the start of our growth, individual growth, as a talking point for starting White Peony because that's what brought us together.
Yeah.
And we've gone through it together.
Yeah.
And the growth happens to anyone, obviously, from when you're just little.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, in the last, 6-7 years, I just can't even describe to you what has taken place, what has developed, what has flourished and bloomed, and man, through a lot.
And you even saying that, I'm like, you're right. It's only been 6-7 years.
But it feels like a flipping lifetime.
Because
doesn't
I
it?
feel like growth happens at certain rates. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
fast, sometimes it's slow. But I feel like, and again, it's the behind the scenes that nobody sees, but all
Yes.
the uncomfortable, hard moments is when we've had to push and grow, because otherwise life will flatten you out,
Yes.
So I think us being pushed to and being around the people that we are, the
Yeah,
women that
that's
we
the
surround
thing.
ourselves with,
Yes.
kind of rocket that growth.
Yes, I agree with that. I think sometimes people see the now version of someone and forget that growth is so layered. Nobody walks in fully confident. If you do, more power to you.
Good for you, sister.
You are the glow that the world needs. But nobody walks in typically from the beginning fully confident. Nobody walks in fully formed, right? So we together have been through so much, not just business growth, but life growth. Without getting into details, what has stretched you the most over the last few years?
That's a great question.
For me, I think it was finding my voice. For most of my life, I feel like when problems would arise or I'd be uncomfortable, I'd shut down. And I still find myself doing that, don't get me wrong. But for me, it's finding my voice and being confident in that, standing firm in what I believe, trusting that I was placed in this role and in White Peony for a reason. And that I'm still learning to be confident in my voice and to speak up instead of shut down. It's such a hard thing, especially when it's something you've done your entire life.
Yeah.
It is hard.
But for me, that's the biggest thing.
And I don't even know if it's like a shutdown, honestly, when I think of like, when started, you were always that supportive role. Like
Yeah,
you always
very.
were someone that had,
That's
if
such
there
a
was,
great way
yeah,
to
not
put
like
it.
you shut down, but you were always everyone's hype girl and you would
Yeah.
go along with whatever was,
right.
you're always
Yes.
there.
I always
But
would
now-
say, like,
yeah.
give she's like, just hand me over a checklist
Yes.
and how I can help you. And she,
That's
without
exactly.
a blink of an eye, would
yep.
get it done. But now
You
you're
are
leading.
leading.
No, I'm making the checklist.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. That's a good way to put that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on.
That does sound better.
Oh my gosh.
I hope that sounds as cool as it does in my head.
Ridiculous.
Abby's like, no. it
So one of my next questions was going to be, what's something you had to unlearn? And that is probably what you just said.
isn't. Yeah.
I love it.
I love that.
Man.
I also kind of think it's kind of the same sense. I think it's like leading friends, leading coworkers, and feeling like I can stand in that ownership. I
Yeah.
think for me, it was always, I felt like, again, I think it comes from confidence. Like, who am I to say? Who am I to lead? Who am I to be the one that, and I don't have all the answers, but I do have heart and I do have, you get a vision, you start developing those types of things and you can see where you want to go. But I think that was probably one of the hardest, is just feeling like that turning point.
Sure, into leaders. I think it's funny because Emily and I talk about this. Well, actually, Adam too.
Yeah.
We all come from sports backgrounds.
Yes.
And it's I was kind of forced into leadership role young.
I'm sorry, before you get into this,
Oh.
they didn't want to accept me in this group because they were actually really good. I was the mediocre. I
it.
was your girl that will show up because the pizza party at the end of the year, and I'm there because the friends and the bus rides, but these girls like cared. But I will say I set the record for pole vaulting. It was broken right after, but it's fine. But keep going, ladies. Yes, I am also an athlete. I did sports. Yay, sports.
Oh,
That
it
was
was
funny.
fun. Okay.
That was funny.
That was good.
Sorry, keep going, athletes.
Everybody need.
Oh yeah, Autumn did sports. I did.
Oh, do you
Thank
want
you.
me to remind you what a team means? You need all kinds of
go-
kinds.
You showed up. You were consistent.
I just want to be part of your club too.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
3 sports
Okay.
athlete over here.
Where were we?
I don't know.
Keep going.
Sports.
Being with
So
Coming
so
from sports
leadership.
background,
Okay, so I was talking about coming from sports background, and we talk about this often. I was kind of pushed into leadership really at a young age, and it was super uncomfortable and a lot of lessons learned. We oftentimes talk about same thing with sports. It kind of you don't know it, but there's a lot of analogies that have to do with the lessons learned that you have in sports at a young age.
Yeah.
But then what you realize as an adult is someone has to lead. Someone has to, because if not, you're going to
just
have a
go in
bunch
a
of fourth
circle.
graders running all over, or, younger or whatever. Anyways, what I'm getting at is it's for different reasons. It's pretty cool to see both of you turn into some of the most incredible leaders. And I think that's where I stand today as far as not leading kind of on my own. It is unbelievable friends who are listening, when you can lean in to people that have grown and developed, not just on a professional level as leaders, but personally as well.
Agreed.
You know, with that growth, what I will say is there are a lot of uncomfortable times, you know, on a personal level and business, of course.
Yes.
Do you have any words that you want to say about that? Like when what does it look like, personal growth, when it does get uncomfortable?
Can you repeat the question?
What does personal growth look like when it's uncomfortable?
Present. I don't
Yeah,
know.
what are we going off script right now? Okay, so what does personal growth look like?
When it's uncomfortable. Like,
Oh.
it's hard. It's just freaking hard.
Yeah, I think,
For each of you is different too, you know?
but I think it's like the reshaping. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the point of growth is you can't grow when things are going great. Because when things are going great, truly, you're not trying as hard to be a different version of yourself. You're like, I'm actually awesome right now. And it's good to feel that way for a little bit, but I think sometimes in the most uncomfortable, painful moments is when the most growth happens in a human. And I think it's just honoring that. And I say this to these two all the time because I feel like both of them are people that like to just push forward, keep going. They put the work in. But I think sometimes it's okay to just sit with a feeling and sit with what's going on, analyze what's happening,
Yes.
check yourself. And then that's when big exponential growth, I think, happens.
I think for me, like when I think of the feelings of personal growth for me, like what that looks like to get uncomfortable, I'm a pusher. You know, like I will take 100 people and be like, all right, we're doing this without any fear on the outside, but on the inside, like growth for me. And I think I've gone through waves of this throughout my leadership journey and as a mom and as a wife. It literally feels like you could sit in a corner sometimes and just cry. It feels where my entire body is numb and tingling and like I can't even speak or think because the fear has taken over. It feels like I have no answers for tomorrow. For the higher of a leadership or position or a higher self.
Yes.
No, again, I'm going to keep repeating myself, but you know, individually and personally, it just is a professional and personal level. It's going to feel harder sometimes, harder than it ever did.
Growth.
And I think that's okay, but it's kind of, I want it to be a little bit relatable because sometimes like, you know, I always say, just give me a good, I have a good cry in the corner and then I'm moving on and bring it on.
Shower cries are honestly one of my most therapeutic moments where I'm like, I'm just going to go in the shower, cry some tears out. And then I think it's shedding the fear. It's shedding that it's real. Because I think sometimes what we do is we feel it even in our body before we even mentally are there. And I think when you're able to sit with what's making you sad or uncomfortable, and then you go, and then you just can let it go and release it. Mine tends to be in tears. That's where I go. But I think that's the point. I think the point is sitting with it and then being like, you no longer serve me. And
I love how you
forward.
said that you feel it in your body before anything else because it is so true. You've got to go through lessons, period, right? I read a quote and I'm trying to think what it was, but it was like, how would you feel if you knew what the outcome would be? Would you go through the harder lessons quicker? And I was like, yes, okay. That like sat with me. Do you know what I mean?
That's powerful.
So it's like when growth is uncomfortable, you are shedding layers. You are faced with maybe something that isn't as easy as you hoped, or your technology doesn't work, or you got someone told you no, or you know, or you had to pivot like we're so good at. But yeah, it's not easy and that's frustrating as all heck. And yes, you might make mistakes along your life journey on a personal, professional. But I think what's important is just understanding that it is a journey, giving yourself grace, for goodness sakes.
And
But
it's so important that I found here is that if you surround yourself with people who help you kind of move on and keep pushing forward and picking it back up and keep going, it is so helpful. Because sometimes it can be so hard to do it on your own.
It is.
You shouldn't have
and
to.
I think that's where like this episode lies. We choose to grow. And that message this was on my heart. And I messaged Ellie and Autumn and I was like, I just feel like we are in a time right now that we need to speak to this.
Yeah.
Because there were moments throughout the years where we could have stayed stagnant, honestly, at White Peony, outside White Peony. There were moments where we could have retrieved, right? But instead we leaned in and we leaned into each other.
Yep.
And that does not mean it was easy. That does not mean it was easy at all. It means it was incredibly intentional without giving ourselves the pat on the back for putting one foot in front of the other, right? So the title of this episode, We Choose to Grow. What does it look like to choose to grow when it would be easier to stay comfortable?
For me, it's being able to communicate my feelings out loud because I get quiet, like I mentioned before. So I kind of just like sit in it and wallow in it sometimes. It doesn't have to be loud, but for me, it's just like speaking and doing it maturely and in a professional way, but vocalizing and having a conversation about maybe how I'm feeling.
Yeah. So what does it look like to choose growth when it'd be easier to stay comfortable? You choose, like for you, it's definitely speaking up because yes, especially in a leadership role, it's hard, but honesty is so important. And even I have led people, like I said, for a very, very long time. That is hard. I'm not someone who wants to argue. I'm not someone who wants to have uncomfortable conversations. I hate it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like the best leaders out there, the best individuals are the ones that are honest in a very well manner.
Yep.
Right. And you do I feel like both parties then feel better after. Like it's almost like a weight lifted. You were able to have that conversation.
Yes.
So
how about you, for you, Adam?
Yeah, I think.
How do you choose growth?
Yeah, I think choosing growth is honestly being honest with yourself. I think it's
you nailed it.
honoring the parts of you that necessarily isn't not perfect. I think it's honoring the parts of you that you're like, you know what? I see myself doing this and this is where I want to go. I think it's being honest as a leader. I think it's being honest in so many aspects of your life that sometimes you just have to take a step back and just own where you're at right now and realize that growth is not automatic. It's just you're learning as you go. And when you have the vision of what that looks like, I think it's easier to find that path than just pushing it all down and saying, I'm doing well right now.
Yes,
I think we
love
all
that.
have room for growth. Always.
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 I don't care what your age is. There's always room for growth. But what it takes is definitely looking inward.
Yes.
And what do I always say? Looking from a 30,000 foot view. Because I will be the first to say I'm not perfect. And I have, hiccups. There are hiccups throughout the day. There are road bumps, speed bumps throughout the week. It's a journey. But I'm here also to say I've had to repeat myself over the years in the different roles that I've had. And I have had, thanks to my mom, I've had to say, you're a really good person. Like I've had to literally say this as in a mirror reflection. You're a really good person. You want to serve people really well. And you want to do what's right. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. I think something powerful about us three together is that we are very different personalities too.
Yes.
And instead of that dividing us, we have let it build each of us in a different way.
100%.
That's incredible maturity. That's growth maturity. But that only happens when people choose maturity over ego.
Yes.
So this, again, isn't just about work, it's about life. Where would you tell someone to start if someone wanted deeper relationships? Because where I'm going with this whole podcast episode is I'm so darn lucky. I was going to do a little bit to sit here with such incredible humans that we have so grown together, and where some could, branch off, or I think we've grown individually thanks to each other.
Yes.
And very strong. So we've grown, and I just feel like that's so powerful. One thing I do know is on the outside of White Peony, each of us definitely have a full circle of friends and different people that we are connected with. And I think what's also really wonderful in our growth, our confidence, is choosing the people that we surround ourselves with. So if someone out there is listening who wants deeper relationships but doesn't know where to start, you can speak to that for a little bit. And what would you recommend?
Okay, so I do feel like I have a lot to say on this topic for a couple different reasons. I think old Autumn or past Autumn, she felt like she needed every person around her to be a friend. The more, the merrier. You think the more friends, the better life is. And I think as you grow wiser, not age, we're just growing wiser, I think you realize that it does not matter how many friends are on your Facebook page or in your contacts list. I think truly it means the ones that are going to be there for you in your times of need. The ones that keep coming back no matter what, no matter how much time passes, no matter what's going on in your life. I have a core group of friends that I know no matter what, I can give them a call. And it picks up right where it left off. There's no excuses. There's no having to
Judgment.
It's just easy.
Yes, I agree.
And I think the great thing is the people that I do consider in that friend group, the big group that I had, I don't think it's abandonment. I don't think that they weren't in your life for a reason. I think it's just redefining what you need at that time. I think it's seasonal, depending on where you are in your life. But
Seasonal sounds a little bit selfish, but that is not the case. Because those who have children, they grow, they're in different seasons of their life. If you're moved because of a job, you're in a different season of your life. You got a new puppy, you're in a different, So
and none of that I would take for granted. And all of that you learn from these people. But I think there's always that core of your foundational people, like the people that will always be.
I think if you're lucky, absolutely. I agree.
And it could be one person, and it could be family. It doesn't have to necessarily mean a friend from high school or from college. It could be literally a family member.
Yep.
I agree. I think sometimes we try to find our value in like the amount of friends or our social life and things like that. And I like, as I get older and have kids too, I have definitely gone through and learned that not every relationship is meant to grow forever either, right? Sometimes they stop and it's hard. And but again, that's where you find some growth too. And seasons change, priorities change, people evolve at different places in life.
I agree.
And to know someone is worth growing with, I think you have that mutual respect for that evolution and like where you're going. Yeah, it's hard. It is hard.
It is hard. I love that you brought that up about how do you know when someone is worth growing with. What is that? You just kind of mentioned that a little bit. What does that mean to you, Autumn?
I think growing with is exactly something that I think we all should take a self-check with, honestly.
I could not agree with you more.
Because honestly, the person that I want to grow with is someone that's going to support. I think someone that's going to be by your side. I think realizing that there are friendships that are meant to be cordial and fun. And then I think there's that person you grow with that's going to lean in on your hard days and on your good days, and they're with you through that whole thing that you just know you can lean in on.
I agree.
And they can lean on you.
I think it's a total selfless act, but I think I've said this many times throughout, like, I think in the last year or two, as you grow in age too, honestly, in maturity, you just realize that like life is so short. How do you know when someone is worth growing with? I would say for my checklist, you are very genuine and authentic.
Yes.
Like I want to see, and I've talked about I want to see you. I know when I'm not talking to the real version of you, even if you're a stranger, I know it in a second. I want authentic Autumn. I want authentic Emily and anyone else that comes into my life. I want to not be judged. I want someone to also reciprocate that and see me for who I am. Again, you can pick out all the little nitpicky things, but we're at an age where, life's too short. We have too many things going on, far too important things to happen. So in my mind, it is authenticity, genuine authenticity. It is seeing me for who I am. There's no standard. There's nothing. You accept me for who I am, period. The next one I think is grace. I think that has to do with schedule and grace and loyalty. Let's say that. Because we're at an age where we're all busy. We're going through different seasons, just like we talked. And if there is a moment where my children, something comes up and I have to be present with them, you're okay with it. Like if we have something scheduled. Right. I have said this to a couple of my very, very close friends. She has younger kids than me. Mine are growing older, so I have a little bit more freedom as far as car rides and yada, yada. But what I have said is it's okay. Like, do not even put coming to this White Peony event in your calendar because I know how busy you are this weekend. I want to give you one last thing off of your shoulders. And as I know, you will support me through and through and through from a distance. I just want you to be able to breathe. It's the grace and the loyalty because I also know the people in my life that would literally do anything for me and talk behind my back as if I were standing right next to them.
Yes, absolutely.
That means the world.
Do you want to know another thing on the checklist that should be for everybody? I want you to take out your pen and paper right now and write down the list of people that you honestly, they could show up at your house and you didn't have to clean, put on jeans.
That's a good one.
You didn't do a hair wash day. Like it is one of those ones and you don't have to apologize.
Yeah.
I have a group of people that I can count that I'm like, you show up and my house is what it is. And I don't feel like I have to apologize because you take me for me.
I love that. Now let's flip the switch here. What does leaning into people, your relationships, into your friends look like? Like, what do you do to deepen your relationships? What do you do to make people feel more comfortable, like you just said, Autumn, that you can walk into someone's house and they feel completely content?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like when having conversations, sometimes I don't have the best memory to like remember what we all talked about. I take notes. Like this sounds really
I
silly,
love
but like
that.
I have a
didn't know
friend who's
that.
going through some things and she had a big appointment today. So I put in a reminder and text
I
so-and-so,
love
blah, blah,
that.
blah. So like
That is
checking in
amazing.
personally on things that like are very important to them. I do that just so people know that I'm thinking about them and I was genuinely like invested in that
I
conversation we
love
had.
that.
that
And that's
is a
probably
really-
something that you value also.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Beyond.
I actually think it's for me, and I think again, I think you give your love language a
Yes,
lot.
I agree with
And
that.
mine
I was
is
just
like
gonna say
personal
that.
time, like time together. This is another trick that I do is I actually go on my phone and I only look at the text messages. Okay. So in honesty, most of your solid foundational friends are going to communicate through a text message more than any other social platform. And I'll look through my friends, like I'll just scroll to see if like we've made a date to hang out again or where we last left on the conversation, and then just make sure that I like do a follow-up and check in, because just like Lindsay had said, life gets crazy. And I have a best friend from elementary school and she is my ride or die, where I could not see her for an entire year. We get together, it's like nothing has ever passed. But right now, we're in the thick of our kids' sports and activities. She's got 3, I've got 2, and I feel like it doesn't matter. You could have
Yeah.
one and you feel like you're running every single day. And it's hard for us to get together. She lives a little bit farther away,
Yep.
but I'm like, we're still going to try.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
still going to catch up, and you make that time for them.
I love that.
I just want to say one thing too, because I feel like there's a lot of people in this period of life who maybe they don't have someone that they can turn to or feel like they can, or like when you're an adult, how do you meet people? Like you're not in college, meet people at the bars. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I write down things that are of value to me, or going to church. Maybe you love to read, join a book club. Like you can meet people in different ways. And I think
love
you
that,
should like write down things that you like to do or you enjoy spending your time doing and get involved. And like, then you can meet people with the same values and the same interests and things. And it's a good way to meet people. 'Cause
Yes, when we talk about we're choosing to grow and growing in our confidence and growing as individuals, is honing in on what our values look like.
Yeah.
And I love this, as like a takeaway to like a little journal moment in the morning, or just take a little sticky note or on your phone notes and just literally, what do you love? Like write down the things that you like to do, the things that bring you joy, and then brainstorm a little bit ways to connect with people that way. Because you never know. That's a great idea.
Truly.
I love that. I think sometimes we expect relationships to just stay strong without effort. But just like business, just like leadership, and just like personal development, relationships do require intention. You don't drift into closeness, you build it. So what is one thing personally you're still working on when it comes to, let's talk relationships?
I volunteer you to go first.
I volunteer you
I
as
was just
tribute.
thinking for me too. Honestly, I actually answer this because I haven't even thought about it personally, but I think for me, one thing I'm still working on as far as relationships go, and I think when you go through hard seasons, you're reminded on the importance of leaning into your people. But you cannot be a taker. This I've known forever. If you think that you're going to have really close relationships, it goes both ways. But the one thing that I do know is when you go through hard seasons, the importance of leaning into people to help lift you up and to build you. But there's also something that when you are alone and quiet and you think like, oh my gosh, I just need someone to lift me right now. That's typically when you should be reminded, when is the last time that you sent a message or checked on a friend like Emily said? Or when is the last time you looked at your text messages like Autumn said? So where I'm going with this is something that I am continually working on is like slowing down to make people feel seen or heard. And so for me, a lot of times like, going through a hard season and I literally reflect on all the good in between, the good, the bad, and everything in between. But I also am like, it reveals something so great. I think about people that you have come to mind, okay?
Yep.
And where I'm going with this is like, they need to know that. So for me, it's like, I love the message and the check-in because right now, this time in this world, this we're saying end of winter in Minnesota, where it's not sunshine and rainbows every day. We need to spread a little more intentional kindness and start with your people. Start with your people.
Amen.
I think that kind of sparked something for me. I think one of the things that I'm actively trying to do and be okay with, and we've talked about it on here, and I'm not always walking that walk, is being okay when people don't grow with me, in the sense of sometimes in life, as the seasons change, as your life changes, I have this incessant feeling that I need to keep every friendship top of mind and make them feel seen and heard at the expense of my time and energy.
Sure. Yep.
And sometimes I burn myself out
Yes.
trying to keep all of those relationships so high on the list, when sometimes at that time it might not just be the right timing, and not that you're abandoning them. Like I had said, it's really redefining what your friendships look like as time changes and as seasons change and all that. I do catch myself being like, oh my God, I haven't checked in with this person. What if, and having that people pleasing where,
Sure.
So that one still working on.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like it's funny. I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like I'm really good at checking in like behind a phone, right? But I need to make time and carve out time to physically go do things. It takes a lot for me to like get out of my comfort zone, or like I'd rather stay home with my kids and watch a movie and go to bed. But for me to actually make a date and plan a time to go do something, because when you leave, you genuinely have your cup filled so full. And I'm so glad I went out and I did it. So for me, it's being more cognizant of like going out and hanging out and doing that in person.
So we have to balance ourselves.
We do. And I feel like a lot of people, like with COVID, everything was like at home. So everyone learned to like be okay working at home and being okay doing everything at home. And that's just kind of how I am as a person too. So yeah.
And I was a caged animal and I needed to get out.
We need to balance
She
each
says
other
that
a
if
little.
she's at home for 5 minutes, people.
You're right.
You guys, if I have a sick day, it is not, I am not well emotionally.
We all know that. I'm kind of in between both of you because I think I'm like so busy all the time and I'm around people 24/7 that like if I am at home for a it's like the biggest breath of fresh air. But I love people.
Yep.
That is my one thing. I love and genuinely love people. I love surrounding myself with my friends. I celebrate birthdays, not because it's my birthday, but it's a good excuse to get together.
Yep.
I love White Peony and the community that is brought together. And, I'm going to say a little something that I admire about each of you too.
Oh, shoot, I didn't cry yet.
Oh, they said,
Shoot.
Autumn, if there's one thing for you, you are the reason I think you and I are so connected. Like, I have to speak to these people. We're going to get sappy here for a hot minute, but I hope this message does relate to everyone about like finding your people, choosing to grow alongside one another, is because we're sitting here on this episode because, man, we have grown up so darn much personally and professionally. And I can tell you right now, Autumn is here because she is the most genuine, loyal human you'll ever meet. She leans harder into her relationships than anyone. And when you said you have to take a moment to like give yourself like one less checklist, I completely believe that. I have said from the beginning of connecting deeper as like not from the beginning of the boutique, but just connecting in such an incredible friendship, both of them here that feel like family. But I always have said, if I was across the world in the middle of the night and I was stranded, Autumn and her husband would pick their kids, throw them in their truck.
Yep.
What's
her
Connie?
name? Connie. That's the work vehicle.
They would throw their kids in Connie and they would come frickin' pick me up. And I know it. You don't even have to explain it. I know it with my whole heart.
And the coolest thing about that, to piggyback off that, it's in the workplace and in like the personal.
Yeah.
You are like, what you see is what you get no matter
100%.
where Autumn is. So I agree 1,000%.
And there is one thing now genuinely with Em. This girl's heart is probably as big as it's going to get. Like, you genuinely care for everyone so much. And the craziest thing is she's the most selfless human ever. I define Em as the perfect boy mom.
And she really is.
Because she is. And when she's at home and she's like, I actually love her so much for her boundaries and her family time. Like, I envy that because she genuinely, it's because you do care so deeply. When you talk about your family, you love so hard. And when you check in or give hugs or whatever, you're just a great human.
Yeah.
You're just a great human.
Truly a great human.
So I am so darn lucky to sit here alongside of these women because, for goodness sakes, we've been through a lot. We've been through deaths. We've been through accidents. We've been through babies. Oh, Oh, I think about that. We've been through some major hiccups in White Peony and some big milestones that I will never forget in my entire life. So how incredible does it feel to sit here with three people that I can not only say are my friends, but family, who feel like family. So here's what I hope you take from this conversation.
Wait,
gonna say it.
Oh,
you are not getting out of this without us gushing about you. So
No.
saddle
away.
up. Saddle up, sister. First, before I go on to Lindsay, what I will say, piggybacking off on Emily, and yes, did I chat GPT some of these to give me ideas of what to say? Yes. And does mine know Emily? Absolutely.
Kind of freaky.
It is weird.
Do you guys talk about me when you're not around?
I just must.
probably.
But with Emily's heart and with that as her friend and as her coworker, I was just saying before she left, I said, we've come to the point where I can like just grunt at Emily and she understands exactly what I need. And yeah, and she's like, yep, got it. And then I go, okay, cool. And then we just go off on our own ways. Okay.
That was like me and
but,
Meg.
but at the same point, with Emily's heart and with her deep connection, she's always been someone who's steady in the sense for
100%.
everyone else. She's always
agree.
been the rock. So no matter what someone is going through,
Yes.
and I come in with chaos a lot of times. Like every other day, there was years where my daughter used to make me cry like every morning, and then I'd be like, Emily. And she would sit and listen to me and not judge me. But in the chaos of life, like Emily always keeps me grounded.
I
She
agree. I love
always
that.
makes me feel you keep me steady in my very tumultuous personality.
I look to Em for like the mutual, like the strength. Like we're a little bit, like when I say boy mom and how much I love you for that, we're like a little bit more of like the tough love kind of people. And so whenever Autumn comes in like that, I look
Chaos.
at
'Cause I cry a lot,
It's
guys.
that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
That's good.
Okay.
You want to talk authenticity and confidence? I cry every other day, maybe
No,
three
that's
times
way
a week.
less.
It is.
I'm getting better.
You're just
Thank you. I cry less. But yeah, you are always a steady person in my life and as a coworker, and like, even when life is chaotic at work, I'm
Yeah.
always like, and I'm just like, here, we're going on to the next because she's always got her checklist and she's just, and also
checklist. I can't.
the silent strength.
Oh, I love that so much.
Because I think you are a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for.
1000% agree.
But it's the kind of strength that you don't have to
was
show.
gonna say
Like
that.
you are taking on a lot of things that no one even sees silently. You just take it and you just keep pushing. And I think that's very admirable.
I love that.
And
I agree.
Lindsay, here goes, sister. One of the things that keeps kind of coming up, and I think Em can attest to this, is that Lindsay has an exceptional skill on seeing people as they are and their true personalities. And like she had said,
And
she
like
can
potential. in the
exactly.
people, yeah.
She can read someone if you are not saying like you should be scared if you approach her that she's judging you.
knows.
Not at
Oh my
all.
gosh,
But she has
no.
this really innate way of seeing people as they are and seeing their potential and pushing us to reach that, giving us the opportunities to reach that. Because I think there's been things that she has brought to my attention that I never would have said about myself. And as I've grown in the years, I think Lindsay has really pulled out a lot of good things out of us. And that's just a natural ability that she has. And it's not something that a lot of people I think have, because she is kind of a natural born leader in the sense that she gives you the tools to reach goals on your own, because that feels way better than being handed something.
Agreed. I've seen more like growth in myself professionally and personally since I've started here because of that exact same thing. Not only is she a leader, she's a pusher in the best way.
Yes.
Like you can do it.
Yes.
Like you can do it. I see this in you and like
Yep.
she never gives up. So that I agree.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think one of the other big things, and as you guys can see with the boutique and how it started, where we're at now, and what it really, the depths of it is the heart that she has for people. It's not fake. It's not disgenuine. It is a true care that she's always had for people. She can see when we're hurting or when we need a breath. She told me yesterday, you go with your family, and it was one of the best things and the things that I needed, but she sees people as they are. And I don't even have to tell her if I'm having a bad day or if I need a break. She just sees that in all of us. And I think that is something you can't make up. You can't fake. It is just a genuine heart.
And I also admire how resilient she is. This is like completely off, like different lane. We've been through some SHIT, and like it is not easy.
I love how you put it that way because I
I don't want to get bleeped out.
H-E double hockey sticks. Yeah.
kid in the back seat
Most
is Mom.
Emily.
What is SHIT?
Most Emily she does not swear in general.
My kids are starting to spell too. I'm like, I'm so screwed. Anyway, like owning a boutique is hard. Being a leader is hard, and you do not give up in the best way because there are so many days we could have freaking threw up the towel and been like, I'm done. Like, this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for anyone. But you do not give up, and you will not give up. And you made that very clear. And that is so powerful and so cool to see.
And so inspiring for
Oh
us
my
because
gosh,
we don't
yeah.
want to quit. But let me tell you, there's been a lot of opportunities where she's been knocked down on her butt and she does not stay down. There's not one time that I could ever
this girl down.
No, she.
basketball.
I actually don't even think she understands the word no. I think she says
I got that from my mom. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
resilient. That's a great one.
Here's what I hope you take from this conversation. Growth is not automatic. It requires humility. It requires ownership. It requires staying when it's easier to walk. And sometimes it requires evolving together instead of apart. The people in your life will either stretch you or shrink you. Choose the ones who stretch you and be the person who stretches others in return, honestly. The older I get, the more I realize success isn't just what you've built. It's who you build it with. Autumn, Emily, thank you for choosing to grow alongside, not just in your roles, but as women, as leaders, as humans, and to everyone listening, look around at your life right now. Who are you leaning into? Who are you pulling away from because it feels easier? Where do you need to have that hard conversation instead of the comfortable silence? You don't wake up one day with strong relationships. You definitely build them. You refine them. You fight for them. You choose them. And sometimes the greatest level up in your life isn't a promotion. It isn't more money. It isn't more followers. It's the depth of the people walking beside you. This is right here leveling up with Lindsay. And here we don't just level up in business. We level up in who we become.
I got so many goose pimples and all of those.
Don't say goose pimples. I don't like that. Goose bumps.
No, goose pimples.
I do not like that.
You ruined a really beautiful moment.
Thank you for listening. If you found this information helpful, please share it with a friend. If you're looking for more information on the topics we covered, please head to the show notes below. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a 5-star rating and review, this would help this mission and our journey to get started. Let's make today and every day an opportunity to level up. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep striving, and keep making a difference.